get my 6. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid. Today, this channel is about an update for one thing. As you know, if you've been following, a couple weeks ago, my wife and I tested positive for the virus, went through mild symptoms for a while. We're fine now. People wanted updates. We're fine. Symptoms gone. I still can't smell or taste. My wife can. But everything else is great. Back to life as usual. Another update. We got our power back on actually 2 days ago. We were without power due to these snowstorms here in Central Virginia, which when the power came back up, of course, and we got internet access, I learned kept like thousands of people trapped on Interstate 95, some up to 36 hours. Whew, man. So while our power's out, of course, we coasted through it. No big deal. We're prepared for it. But every time you think you got it bad, trust me, there's always somebody out there that's got it worse. Keep that in mind. Temperatures just hit 32, even though it looks warmer than that. Our water froze last night, so I wanted to point this out to you as for people that maybe forgot. Hot water freezes faster than cold water. So last night, the mistake my wife and I made is that we both took hot showers between 8 and 9 p.m. And we didn't turn on the cold water to flush all the hot water out of the lines. So our water froze last night. Now, it has thawed again today because it wasn't a deep freeze. So I wanted to throw my idiocy out there, which is, it wasn't idiocy. It was just it was forgetfulness. Grew up in a very cold winter climate, but I live in the South now, and so rarely does this happen, so it would just slip my mind. So I threw that out there for you to keep that in mind. And also, remember, you can turn your faucets on to where the water's coming out just a little bit. That'll help prevent your lines from freezing as well because it keeps your water moving. What? Why does hot water freeze faster than cold water? Well, because that's the science of it. That's the science behind it. It's science. That's why. As far as any sort of more meaningful explanation goes, well, I could give you one, but that brought me to the topic of today's story. The science behind it. I'd mentioned my wife and I, when I made the video, which quite a few of you have watched, and thank you for the couple thousand of you that are new to the channel as a result of that video. When I made it, I mentioned we had both been vaccinated. We hadn't gotten around to getting the booster yet, and the reason why is because we're being overconfident, because we do have a healthy lifestyle, diet, active lifestyles, and we're very fit because we both exercise a lot. My wife exercises. I actually train for distance races. That really is why we believe got us through it. Well, just the comments under that with between the vaxxers and the non-vaxxers. Some are saying, do you even know what's in the vaccine? Some people are saying no, and they're saying exactly. The others are saying this is in it, this is in it. And a lot of people agree that it's just all a bunch of BS. And some people say that's what's in it. Well, I would be willing to just say that potentially, it's BS that's in it. What? We know what BS is. What's BSS? Bigfoot, Sasquatch. You know what? And you're like, Crazy Lake, what are you getting at? Well, I'm getting at a story from Bigfoot Sasquatch Files, Volume 6, came out about a year ago. That's part of the collection in Bigfoot Sasquatch Files Anthology 1, which includes all of the first 10 volumes of this totally awesome Bigfoot Sasquatch series. And you can get this in our Etsy store, by the way. I think $24.99 plus shipping. And it comes with an autograph, my autograph. And you get this really cool bookmark with it, too. This isn't it. I brought this up to remind me that we have another new product in our Etsy store. You'd have thought just going into town earlier today would have reminded me because I dealt with 3 of them. All right, tailgaters. Nobody likes them. We can't stand them, especially a particular type of tailgater. That a lot of times you look in your rearview mirror and they look up and they see you looking, and a lot of times they realize what they're doing and they'll back off, or if you look in your side view mirror. Except for one particular type of tailgater. That would be the tailgater that just believes they're entitled to tailgate. They have the born privilege of tailgating. These tailgaters, when you look up in your mirror and you make eye contact, they look at you like this. Like, what are you going to say about it? This bumper sticker is for that particular tailgater. Yes, it's a bumper sticker that I personally designed after having had enough of it. I think there's some of you out there have had enough of it yourselves, and you're probably going to like this, and you're going to want to buy this product from our Etsy store, the link of which is in the description box below. You ready? Back off, Karen. Yes, this won't work for all tailgaters because, you know, this doesn't fit the description, but for a pretty good percentage of them, and especially the ones that give you that look in the mirror that I am entitled to tailgate you, bam! Back off, Karen. Available on our Etsy store, $4.99 plus shipping. Now, with all this selfless self-promotion, shameless self-promotion done, onto our story. What? You noticed my heather-colored hoodie under here? Why, yes, it is quite nice. And I told you about how to keep your water from freezing. I got to remind you of something else not so pleasant, too. You better start getting your tax information together because it's a new year and tax time cometh. To confirm yet another one of my theories about the big guy, that Bigfoot Sasquatch is really only hiding from the IRS. He, she, it, and they simply don't want to be taxed and regulated. So when that nonsense started, they went into hiding. Oh, yeah, it's comfortable, too. It's comfortable, and yes, I designed that as well, just like the back off Karen stickers. You can't get this on Etsy, but if you scroll down just below the video, you'll see our Teespring shelf. These are available on Teespring. Come in multiple sizes. Very comfortable. Now, on with our story. So this story is called Bigfoot Sasquatch Saves the World. I want to point out it was written in mid-November of last year. That date is very important. Pay very close attention to that date for when we get to the meat and potatoes of this story. Secondly, this story has one of our revolving characters, not from this series, but from a previous novel I wrote called Olive Capri. The character's name is Pete Richards. Thousands upon thousands of you watching this video have already read this totally awesome novel that will increase the quality of your life just upon having read it. If you haven't, guess what? It's available on our Etsy store and the link is in the description box below. So, Pete Richards is the main character in this story. Keep that in mind. Many of you have wondered whatever became of Pete Richards. All right. Okay, so I'm pretty open with my life on our YouTube channel, Homesteading Off the Grid. Does that mean I was Pete Richards? Potentially. I'm open with my daily affairs, many of which are same old, and honestly becoming boring. Splitting wood, mowing grass, growing weed gardens. No, not that kind of weed. And they're meant to be vegetable gardens. But if I miss a few days straight of weeding, the weeds get the better of you. And we have a tendency to miss a few weeks straight every year, so come harvest time, we're wading chest high in weeds looking for vegetables. It's much like an Easter egg hunt. Oh, and going around the woods and meadows behind my house looking for him, her, it, or they. I've been pretty open with much of my past, mostly by way of writing about it in my novels under the guise of fiction, especially all those down and out years in the Philippines. How did you go from being bat crap crazy drunk, down and out, disabled vet in the Philippines to an upper middle class Virginia landowner just outside of Charlottesville, people often ask. Why, I begin in response, by never giving up. I focused on my writing, and in time, I got good at it. Eventually, I got on the map, and the money started coming in, and we were able to leave the jungle and get back to the city. And a couple years after that, we were able to come to the U.S., and well, things were going so well that we were able to buy a house on 6 acres out in the country just outside of Charlottesville, and well, I'd say, just like I started with, everything just worked out. There seems to be some holes in your story, the most astute of naysayers will say. How so, I'll ask. How did you survive, they'll say, during those down and out years, as you call them? I mean, you had to be making money somehow, at least enough to sustain yourself and your beautiful bride, as you call her, and your son. How did you do it? At this point, I don't plead the fifth, but I come close. I refer to my examiner to my novel. I refer my examiner to my novel, Olive Capri, as I've done you already. And I say to them, good luck figuring out which part of the story is fact and which part is fiction. At this point, I'll get a look of confusion. However, I get no further questioning because the people who tend to make it this far along in their inquisition do have half a brain cell or two, more than the average bear, and some of them actually do read the book. And those that get back to me after reading the book, they all say the same thing. You really are bat crap crazy. What's my point to all this? Well, it's simple, really. In my previous life, I made many contacts. Contacts in high places who relay messages through common friends in low places. If this sounds like I'm speaking, well, typing, in riddles, it's because I am, and it's for a reason. Why, you ask? Again, if you haven't read it, go read Isle of Capri, and you'll totally get it. Again, you can get it on Amazon, print or Kindle, or from our Etsy store with a personalized autograph from me and a really cool bookmark. Not the back off Karen sticker, that's different. The link is in the description box below. I clearly heard like a yowl or a howl that sounded like Dogman. Did you hear it? Anyway, here's what all this has to do with this story. Now remember, I wrote this in November of 2021. Be prepared for a validated, actual, bona fide, effective vaccine for a certain illness that I won't say the name of going forward from this point. No later than the end of February 2021, if it's not out by the time you read this book. Okay, correction. I wrote this in November of 2020. Keep that in mind, okay? What in the name of all things holy are you talking about now? Crazy Lake, you might be asking. This. Ring. Okay, here's like intermission. If you're used to watching movies, like the scene changes here. The phone's ringing. It's really early. It was my cell phone. It was early on a Sunday morning in October of 2020, the month before I wrote this. I'd planned to sleep in because I'd been up late the night before doing a night hunt for Bigfoot Sasquatch in the woods behind my house and making a video of it for my YouTube channel, just like last night, as well as approving final edits for my most recent novella-length collection of short stories, Bigfoot Sasquatch Files Volume 5. It was a busy night, a night on which I was up well past midnight, and I was, as our friends in the UK would say, cream crackered. That means worn out in American. I grabbed the phone and looked at the number calling. I sat straight up in bed, instantly wide awake, and I answered before it had a chance to ring a second time. The number calling was from an individual I'd never given my number to, but I guess guys like him have the ability to find you, or anyone, anywhere. The events that took place on the Isle of Capri is proof enough of that. Yes, sir, I said. You're not going to believe this, the voice on the other side of the line said. It was the voice from a 50-year-old man who was supposed to be dead. I'm kind of having a hard time believing you're still alive, I said. Remember, he said, believing nothing you hear, or believe nothing you hear and only half of what you see. Letter F you, I said. Why, he said. I cried for a minute when I thought you were dead. Wow, he said, a whole minute. You think you're worth more time than that? I love you too, but we'll catch up later. I have a job for you. Do you know where I am? I asked. Yes, he said. You're sitting up in your bed in the downstairs master bedroom of your old sharecropper house out in the country just outside of Charlottesville. You're staring at the far wall, telling yourself you need to get around to painting it and the rest of the inside of your house again because 4 winters worth of smoke from your wood stove has taken its toll on the last paint job. Did you letter F'ers put cameras in my house? I asked, the feeling of panic like I'd not felt in years instantly returning. No, he said, laughing. I'm just letter F'ing with you. He was laughing so hard it took him a hot second to be able to speak again. Lucky guess. But look, letter F you, I said, now feeling my heart rate coming back down. Okay, we're done with the letter F yous. You need to listen. I have a job for you. But yes, we know exactly where you live and how you live. How? I asked, now looking around for pinhole-sized camera lenses in the corners of the room. You broadcast your life on YouTube, he said. Oh, I said, feeling myself disarming again. Look, he said, we need you to go back to the lair. What lair? I asked. The lair of Bigfoot Sasquatch, you dumb letter F'er, he said. Are you serious? I asked. It's either there or the Isle of Capri, he said. Take your pick. What do you do? What do you, I began. But then I thought better of it and reworded my question. What do they need from me now? DNA, he said, short and sweet with no further explanation. And I'd worked with him enough in the past to know that he would give no further explanation, so there was no need for me to press. And I didn't blame him. Guys who work in his capacity have a tendency to be disappeared for giving too much information. And frankly, guys like me who performed certain odd jobs in the past, like the odd jobs I was performing leading up to and even during my time spent on the Isle of Capri, had a tendency to be disappeared for knowing too much too. Why me, I asked. I thought I was done. I thought that was part of the deal. I worked for you guys once, and I get to come home and live happily ever after and all that BS. We got their man in office. We set up their puppet government. We eliminated the threat from those networks, these letter effers, know-it-all, pampered, smart A-holes in the rooms. I'm talking about people who Americans who just watch the news and have never really been anywhere and seen what's really going on out there in the world. Saying we got rid of all these people that Americans who watch news don't even know exist. Okay. Blah, blah. I insult those people some more. I've just never been a big mainstream media or any kind of like news kind of guy. It's like Mark Twain said, yeah, people like me who don't watch the news, we're uninformed, but people who do watch the news are misinformed. Okay. A little better. We made the world just a little better or just a lot, he asked. Let me know when you're done. If you'd like to persist, I can have my assistant run out and pick up some cheese to go along with your wine. Let her F you, I said. We're done with that, he said, remember? What's in it for me, I asked. You get to keep living your happily ever after, he said. And if I don't do it, I asked, already knowing the answer. They're going to take it all away, he said. Remember, what the large print giveth, the fine print taketh away. And I knew there was no need to argue my case. Trust me, the people he contracted for had a way of not just disappearing people, but destroying people in such a way that makes them wish they disappeared. And it was the promises that they didn't renege on that always amazed me. Tell me what I need to do, I said, swinging my feet over the side of the bed, rising and then heading into the kitchen to start the coffee while my informant gave me the mission. When I've got stuff to do, I have a tendency to get it done, like now, not later. Hence, only an hour after having had my coffee and breakfast, I was off to go hiking through the woods behind my house, the potential lair of the potential Bigfoot Sasquatch being my final destination. I'd told my beautiful bride dearly, aka Giggly Girl, that I was burnt out on running and cycling, and so my morning exercise was going to be hiking. You are going to the lair of the Bigfoot Sasquatch to make a video, she asked in her ever cute, ever broken English accent. Something like that, I said. Oh, she said. Was that? She trailed off in reference to the phone call. Yeah, I said. I thought he was dead, she said. Guess not, I said, lacing up my hiking boots. I wish he was dead, she said. That's not nice, I said. He not nice, she said. It's not his job to be nice, I said. It's his job to get stuff done so the world keeps spinning and the protected can remain protected and bitch and complain about it the whole time because they have no letter effing clue how protected they are. You go, she said. Just don't bring any of that crap back with you. By that crap, she meant anything of paranormal, supernatural, or cryptozoological nature. That stuff's had a tendency to follow me around. But little did she know, crap is exactly what I planned on bringing back with me. I had to. It was the mission. Crap contained DNA, and yes, I would have gone after saliva or hair or even blood, which could have ended badly for me, but I'd made it my little personal prank on humanity to go after crap. You see, I've been a man brat / smartass B-word since the days of the Old Testaments, my friends. 2 hours and a roughly 5-mile hike later, I'd reached my destination. I was potentially in the lair that may or may not have belonged to Bigfoot Sasquatch. Our Savior, I said to myself, half a complaint rooted in complete loss of knowing what to do now, and half in the form of an actual prayer. What do I do now? No answer came to me, but I figured I'd just get to doing what I'd come to do. I slipped off my backpack, which is my old Army assault pack from Iraq, and I took out the pair of purple latex gloves I'd brought with me and slipped them on. I took out the half a dozen plastic grocery store bags I brought with me, which, by the way, are of the devil. They are pure evil. They are responsible for so much pollution and death of wildlife around the world, and I do mean around the world. I have seen plastic bags from Food Lion, a major grocery store chain in the southern U.S., blowing around in the wind all over the world. I have seen these plastic bags blowing through the Arabian Desert and Iraq. I have seen them blowing along the beaches and through the jungles of Southeast Asia. Yes, actual plastic bags from Food Lion in the southern U.S. I guess they caught some really intense upward heat drafts. And I began searching on the forest floor around me for crap. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, crap. That was really one long run-on sentence inside parentheses in the middle of that other sentence. You probably forgot what sentence I was even reading by the time I got back to the end of it. But I really hate plastic bags from grocery stores. This is deer crap, I said aloud, finding my first pile of droppings. At first, I had no intentions of bagging this deer crap up and turning it into my superior. Gosh, I hate referring to that a-hole as my superior. But I figured that if I went back empty-handed, I'd be accused of not having tried hard enough, so bag it up I did. I continued walking around slowly, and in pretty short order, I managed to bag up more deer crap, some raccoon crap, some groundhog crap, and finally, after searching for nearly an hour, I found a big steaming pile of bear crap. Now, it was pretty easy for an experienced woodsman like me. Yes, I am an experienced woodsman, even though so many vertically challenged individuals who live under bridges accuse me of being a city boy on our YouTube channel, to be able to tell that this was only bear crap. But I'd be able to use the excuse that it was so fresh that I couldn't tell, and that would get me a pass, at least long enough to get a second chance to come back. Next, after having been awakened early by the phone call after a late night and hiking for hours and searching for crap literally for hours, I sat down, my back against a large red oak tree, and I fell to sleep. I don't know how long I slept, but when I woke, I was ravishingly hungry. I immediately thought of the Twinkies I'd brought in my assault pack. Realizing I was probably a good quarter mile away from my pack, I immediately got up and began walking back to my pack, making sure to take big bags of crap with me. I hurried the pace because I was really, really hungry. Yes, I know that's redundant, and it's intentional because I want to really make the point about how hungry I was. And I was really, really hungry, and I really, really loved Twinkies. Alas, as I got to within sight of my assault pack, only 50 yards away through the forest, I saw a scene that was heartbreaking. A large, dark figure was opening my assault pack, and I knew it was going to take my Twinkies. "You letter effing bear," I yelled, assuming that the thief was the black bear that had recently deposited the huge, steaming pile of crap I now held in the bag in my left hand. "Leave my Twinkies alone, you letter F." I began running at the thief, knowing that black bears are relatively docile creatures and that they, like all wild animals, except wild hogs, which fortunately are only found considerably further south of where I live, fear humans more than anything. Once I'd cut the distance between myself and my assault pack and the large, hairy thiefing half, I stopped in my tracks. I nearly deposited my own steaming pile of that which I was carrying in my plastic Food Lion grocery bags, because what stood before me on 2 legs, not 4, was no bear. It was, potentially, Bigfoot Sasquatch. "Oh, crap," I said. The creature let out a mighty roar. Then, while holding my now open assault pack with one hand, it jammed its other hand inside it and pulled out, not my Twinkies, but, wait for it, a spicy Italian sub on flatbread from Subway that I'd bought and forgotten to eat more than a month before. It had been in one of the different pouches on my assault pack that I'd not checked before leaving for my hike because I'd been in such a hurry. I mean, I was doing the job of a subcontractor for a guy who was doing his job as a subcontractor for a group of people who are not known for their patience, so I simply hadn't taken time to check all the pouches, even though I could smell quite a stench like that made by rotten meat. Arg, the creature yelled again, like a big hairy pirate. And if I were to translate what that arg meant, I mean, with my morning phone conversation still fresh in my mind, I would have reason to believe that the arg meant letter F you. The beast crammed the entire sub of rotten meat and wilted vegetables into his, her, or its mouth, wrapper and all, and gave me a hard stare that I would equally translate into a letter F you. And then it dropped my salt pack and then turned and ran over the mountainside with such speed it was gone instantly. I hurried to my salt pack, and fortunately my Twinkies, all of them, were still in it. I took the Twinkies out of my salt pack and I ate of them. And I became full of the Twinkies that were in my salt pack. And I was pleased by the feeling of being filled of the Twinkies that had been in my salt pack. All was good with the world. Crap, I said, walking back down the mountain after having finished my Twinkies. Now what? It was part complaint and part prayer. But this time, the answer came to me in the way of a moan emanating from the middle of a laurel thicket about 100 yards to my right. I stopped, I listened, and I was pleased. Bigfoot Sasquatch had eaten a rotten Italian sub from Subway. Bigfoot Sasquatch had a terrible tummy ache as a result of a mild case of food poisoning. Bigfoot Sasquatch had the craps. My job had just become simple. All I had to do was wait, and wait was all I did. I hunkered down beside a large poplar tree, and I was conveniently hidden behind my own thicket of laurel, and it was all I could do not to laugh my AQQ off while listening to the large bipedal beast crapping his, her, or its guts out only 100 yards away. I mean, I wasn't trying to be mean, taking pleasure in his, her, or its pain, but karma's real. You steal a man's food, you get a case of the craps, right? And besides, the creature could have been lucky enough to have opened the other pocket of my salt pack and stolen my Twinkies. Then where would I be? Would I have eaten the spoiled sub? Would I be the one with the craps now? I mean, I am bat crap crazy, so maybe. Anyway, after a quarter of an hour or so, the beast seemed to be finished, and I knew that here out in the wild there was no paperwork to do, so once it, or him, or her, crept further down the hill after making its deposit, I waited another 15 minutes or so to make sure it was gone, and then I went to the laurel thicket where it, or him, or her, had made its extremely large deposit. Or his or hers extremely large deposit. Freaking editors! I'd hit the mother lode. Knowing this was exactly what I'd come for, I dumped out all the other crap I'd already collected. Deer crap, raccoon crap, bear crap. And I'd even found what I thought was bat crap. And I almost kept that as a souvenir, because I'm told it's the type of crazy crap I am. But no, I needed all the room in my plastic bags I could get, so I dumped out all the bat crap too. Once my bags were all crap free, I reloaded them, this time with nothing but crap from him, her, it, or, well, there was only one, so there was no way it was a they. And then I headed off the mountain, considering this yet another successful mission. I felt elated because I'd not actually performed any type of missions for these guys since leaving Mindanao more than 5 years ago. Even though I hated the B words, familiar territory felt good. Here's what I can tell you about the outcome of my mission. I left the package where I was instructed to leave it, and where I'm sure it was picked up the second I was out of sight. Like all my missions, I'm never told the exact specifics or, like I discussed earlier, any specifics, but I always have my hypothesis, and here's my hypothesis in regard to this mission. I know this mission was carried out during the peak days of the particular illness. Further, I know that the amount of DNA similarities that we share with him, her, it, or they are so close it would terrify most people, especially all those know-it-all smart a-holes in the room who believe these creatures don't exist anyway, because, well, mainstream media has never confirmed their existence, and that's where they garner all their information. Further, I have reason to believe that there are no such things as new illnesses. I believe that everything is cyclical. I believe the current illness had visited us before. However, it did so during the days before we were nearly as advanced as we are today, and I don't mean only in regard to science and medicine. I mean in regard to record keeping as well. I believe this illness and many others visited us thousands of years ago, and I do believe that it wiped out large populations. However, I also believe that large populations developed herd immunity to the illness, and I believe that Bigfoot Sasquatch populations happen to be part of that population. And I believe the people who subcontracted me for this mission through a subcontractor knew this, hence the mission. So, like I said, for the miracle thing they were looking for here, within 90 days or so of the publishing of this story, okay? Unless, like I also said, it's here already before this story even has time to be published. Came out a day or two after this was published. Oh, and I got word a couple days after completing this mission that my contact died in a single-car vehicular accident. I'm sure I'll hear from him again soon as they want something from me. Oh, and know that when you receive your, thing they were looking for, should you make that choice, should you choose to, or should you at some point be forced to, wait for it. You're potentially being shot up with a big old steaming pile of Bigfoot, Sasquatch crap. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back for more next time if you did. And we'll see you then.